So, when I say the name William Friedkin, what comes to mind? Obviously, his most famous work would be The Exorcist, yes, and The Exorcist 2. But lo and behold, he also did Sorcerer from 1977. A hallucinatory journey into the heart of darkness. William Friedkin's pulse pounding reimagining of the suspense classic The Wages of Fear was dismissed upon its release, only to be recognized decades later as one of the new Hollywood's boldest auteur statements. In a remote Latin American jungle, four desperate fugitives, New Jersey gangster Roy Schreider, a Mexican assassin, Francisco Rabal, an unscrupulous Parisian businessman, Bruno Cremer, and an Arab terrorist, Amadou, take on a doomed mission, transporting two trucks full of highly explosive nitroglycerin through treacherous jungle. Aided by Tangerine Dream's otherworldly synth score, Friedkin turns each bump into the road to a tour de force of cold sweat tension, conjuring a hauntingly nihilistic vision of a world ruled by chance and fate. And yes, that's exactly what it gosh darn sounds like. And it does hold up still to this day. This is an action movie spectacular, but what makes it stand out is obviously the production value. So first of all, it's the second half that makes up this movie. The first half, you have the four different styles of going about like ways and less than legitimate ways. Let's just put it that way. So you have the terrorist going on there, and he gets into some nasty ways. In the second, and then you have the French businessman, and it's like you can kind of skip the introductions, but it does lead to the certain tension that happens in the second half as they're forced to come together and figure out, okay, what exactly are we going to do? And my personal favorite was seeing was probably the stuff going on with the Catholic Church. Not that stuff, but there's this one guy who manages to go on the run, and all the meanwhile he's got like a priest with him inside, and also the brother of a kingpin. So that was quite the violent hurrah. So as I'm just watching it, I'm just like, this is some intense stuff right here. It's just and and then he says, yeah, you're going to have to. He's like, hey, I'm going to help you out here. You go down south where? I don't know, but you have to. But you'll be given some money and an ID, and you'll eventually have to help with this mission. Wondering what's this mission? Well, considering that there's an oil re-explosion down there, they have to, which is surprisingly cheered by the locals or whatever. That's not really explained why. I mean, this was like encroachment of the American power or something like that. That's the only thing I could gather. So, as I'm watching, it's when it finally gets around to, I'd say, roughly the 50-minute mark is when the second half gets into gear. Pardon the pun. So imagine having to drive these trucks full of dangerous nitroglycerin, where it's like it can maybe withstand a small bump, but at the same time, if it was anything more than that, a massive explosion will happen. So what do our anti-heroes have to do, Ed? It's these poor sods have to travel 200 miles with this. Holy freaking crap. And as I'm thinking to myself, 200 miles, how is this going to go about? So, for a while, the driving's going fine. I'm thinking, okay, so these four people are like, all right, so what's the central theme of the story? It's about life giving you seemingly impossible odds, and either you overcome it, or it or you do not overcome it. And what they have to deal with is surprisingly two bridges. I mean, these bridges are rickety at best. I mean, it's like it could still withstand the weight of trucks, or probably even a bicycle, but not like heavy trucks like that. It does, but you can hear every single creak and crack as there's like even a couple of wrong moves. Either the truck explodes or they drop hundreds of feet. So, as So the first one's crossing. I'm like, ah, yes, I can definitely see. So you have one of them guiding the other person, and the poor guys driving have to do it and either have to listen and go at the same time. So it is true desperate teamwork as they're crossing it. And then you just imagine they have to cross another bridge, but this time it's a little bit bigger, I believe, and I think it was a little bit more rickety. And I'm just watching it, I'm like, how are these poor guys doing it? My personal favorite was when there was this colossal tree that was there, and with this tree is like, how the heck are they going to have to do it? Well, they kind of had to. Well, I'm not going to spoil it, but let's just say they had to use like a pulley system to help get rid of, to help destroy this fallen tree. And ooh, that was an intense scene. I'll tell you that much. Eventually, eventually one of them makes. I'm not going to spoil too much about it. Let's just say eventually it's dynamite is delivered, but there was also some of the gangsters or whatever from earlier, and ultimately what happens to the heroes is up for you to be determined. So yeah, this movie's definitely intense. It was released, I think, around the same time that Star Wars was released. So this obviously got overshadowed, and this was a difficult production for the entire crew. I mean, obviously working out in the extreme cold, having fights on set and things like that, and spending like $1 million to help build a bridge or whatever it was. I think the trivia was it just led to a lot of tension on set, I guess. But this tension also helped lead to the way how the film was crafted into truly an intense, emotional ride as you want our heroes to succeed, even though they're not exactly the greatest of people. And Sorcerer being the name of the truck, which is like kind of a magician, like how a magician can kind of like a sorcerer can conjure any obstacles to get in their way. Is also going underneath magician and I think wizard. Before listening to the Miles Davis album Sorcerer that Friedkin was doing, that's how he came up with the name. So yeah, intense, gripping. I highly recommend that you watch Sorcerer.